So now I'm just swinging into it and I'm coming into Stewarttown. So Stewarttown's an area where they used to mine for gold in the old days. So it's not a bad place as far as things go. Pretty quiet place, not much going on there as far as shopping centres or anything goes there. But today they are busy and they're down here doing a bit of roadworks on it. So it's about time too, because I haven't seen them do any roadworks out here for quite some time. So I'm about to slow down when the guy there gives me a wave through. So you know, that wasn't too bad, because sometimes you get caught up on roadworks for, you know, 5-10 minutes, half an hour or so. So I swing around there and I'm going to bypass this and I'm heading down just one of the side drags at Stewarttown, and I was going to head further out onto a track where I'd been before. So as you go down along this way, I'm looking back in the mirror there and I see this person tailing me, and I thought, this is a fairly just new sealed bit of road, and I don't want to be pushed along by some idiot behind me tailing me with the off chance of me going off course. So just up a little bit further, I swing over to the side of the road near the school and let him get going and get that out of the way. But they've been really busy out here. They're from Stewarttown, Mumble, or I should say Mumble over to Stewarttown. They've been sealing a fair bit of the road there, and it's a lot better road to ride on now compared to the bone shaking was in the old days. And what I mean by the old days, that's only about a couple of months back. So they've been busy along here and got this part out of the way. So I end up pulling over here at the school to let this bloke get past me, because as I pass now, you'll see he's right on my tail, and I can go back onto the road and head back down there in a peaceful manner. So I'm just cruising down along here and I'm thinking to myself, will I go out to that other place or not? Or, you know, will I just sort of swing over to the other way and go onto the main Mitchell Highway? So I'm coming up to this corner and I'm looking over there on my left-hand side, and I thought, I've never actually been along this road in all the times I've been riding. So, you know, that was sort of something I was thinking about at the time. And then as you look now, there's a road coming up on your left now. So I'd never been down that one and I've no idea where it goes. Then all of a sudden I hit dirt where they'd been panel beating it with one of those rollers, and it was a fairly vibrating sort of a ride along there. Yeah, so unfortunately things aren't going too good and I've got a bit of an issue. So the GoPro battery's gone flat for starters, and I've got no spares, so I'm out of sort of live video. So the only thing is, you know, I'm thinking, what am I going to do about this? So I decided I might swing around, get off this dirt road, the main dirt road, go up to that corner what I was talking about earlier on in the clip, and I'll swing along that one and follow it down and just see where it actually goes. So one good thing about it, once I'm on the dirt there now, I've noticed how good it is. I'm only riding along at, say, 40 kilometres an hour, and it's around that 20 degrees. So it's really nice out here weather-wise compared to when I was back home. It was only around about 12 with a really chilly wind. Now, I'm going along this dirt road and I swing through a couple of light bends, and then I go through a couple of tighter bends after that, and then I come up to this really risky-looking ramp. So I come up to the ramp, pull up, get off and have a look at it, because sometimes you're just wondering how safe they are when you bring a bike up to them. So as I pull up there, look over to me right, and there's this horse in the paddock. And I thought, I might just go over to the fence and photograph it with the camera I've got, because I've got my other pocket camera with me, what I'm using, and I can do a bit of video on that one if I want to. So I headed over to the fence there, got the camera up, took a couple of shots of him, and then that horse decided he'd like to come over and have a closer look at me. So he heads over to there and gets there pretty quick too, in a matter of a few seconds, pokes his bloody head right over the fence. And I tell you now, I'm not all that keen on horses, and I reversed engines probably a few feet, and you know, he was sort of pretty friendly, I'd say, as far as horses go, but I'm a bit sort of touchy with horses, because I remember one day I took the daughter over and she wanted to feed a horse one day and it actually bit her on the finger. So since then I've, you know, stayed well clear of those chaff munchers. So apart from that, like I said, I took this photo, took a little bit of a video. They're not as good as what the GoPro can do, but it's just something to fill in a bit of it. And after that I got back on the bike and we headed off down this track. Yeah, so the funny thing about this is, you know, when I was heading down this track, and I suppose it went around 5 kilometres, maybe 7 kilometres, it was a fair run along there. I had, you know, no idea when I was riding along there that I was actually riding on private property. But I soon found out near the end of it who owned the property and who didn't, and it definitely wasn't me. So as far as things go, I really went through some really nice country here, and it was really hard-packed ground. And you know, you'll see this picture of what I took with the camera there, where I'm climbing up the hills there, and you know, it was really, I must admit, it was one of the best rides I've ever had, and never had a really camera going. And more importantly, I'll never be able to go back there and take the shots again, even if I go to GoPro, because you know, when I bumped into the ones that owned the property down further, they made it quite clear it was private property. The track doesn't go anywhere except to their house, and the best idea for me is to turn around and head back where I come from. And if I want to head over to the other road, go via the other road area, and their place will get you nowhere. So I went through a few, you know, naturally, I honestly just thought it was a private road I was riding along, and you know, I suppose it's debatable whether it was private or not. It might be private, it might be public road on the track itself, and as soon as you veer off to the left or right, it's their land. But when I got down there, I definitely wasn't going to argue with them who owned the road, which wasn't all that important to me because I couldn't even take any photos with my GoPro to start with. So, but I will say it was a really enjoyable ride, and I went through some really nice country, come down through creek crossings, pulled up in all these spots on my way down, and like I said, it was about 5 to 7 kilometres long. So if they own that much property there, they'd have to own quite a few thousand acres. They appear to run just sheep, and you know, like, it was really a nice area to ride along. And I was a bit curious when I went down there that you know, a couple of points I pulled up and I saw a dog sitting at the entrance to gates going into some of the properties, but I just naturally thought the dog sits there and, you know, they come and collect him when they want to, when he goes out and rounds up the sheep or whatever. And I got up on the one high point there where, you know, I was kicking myself too for not having a drone, because I could have taken a shot with a drone which would show, you know, you'll probably see it in the photo now what I'm showing you, but it showed something like, I don't know, 10 kilometres of really high area when you look on one side, and then you swing over to the other side and see all this tussocky grass all over the hills and something that, you know, I am really glad, if anything, that I had the camera with me and got the camera shots, because these shots what I got now are a good memory compared to if I never had this camera as a reserve, the GoPro ran flat, I would have been totally stuffed. So apart from that, I am really grateful that I got these ones in. And, you know, we'll venture on along here and I'll just show you a bit more. Now, further up along the track I noticed another ramp, and overall I think I went through maybe 6 ramps, and, you know, like, anyone's got a bit of an idea here on ramps in Australia, well, they can serve 2 purposes. One, they can divide one property from another, or 2, they can take the place of a hinge gate, where rather than a property owner open his gates all the time to go in, he just puts a ramp across it. Now, the best thing about that one, the only one stupid enough to walk across a ramp would mainly be the human type, like the sheep, cattle, I don't know about goats, but sheep, cattle, horses and stuff like that. They're well aware that what can happen if they put the foot in a ramp, or if they try to get across in a hurry and end up with a broken leg or something like that, so they learn that lesson early. But the humans thought they can walk across it quite regularly until something goes wrong. Now, I'm cruising along there, and I've already went through the ramp, and on the right-hand side again, it's real tussocky sort of country, and I'm there singing, and not very well either, the Village People song In the Navy, you know, where you heard that song back in the 70s. So I'm there singing In the Navy, and, you know, belting out a pretty rough note too, and I just swing around this corner. I get to the part where I sail the 7 seas, and sure enough, around this bend, and I must have been a little bit high on the decibels, because all of a sudden 6 sheep run out in front of me. So that was all right. And as usual, sheep aren't really bright, and I think two of them ran right towards me. One jumped in front of me, I don't know, 10 or 15 feet away from me, so I was lucky I never bowled it. And then in the background, I saw running up the side of the slope there a pretty good fox. So the fox had been there with his eye on the sheep just watching them. Most likely it was coming into lambing season, which it is in this area at the moment. He's not interested in the big ones, he's only interested in the small ones like the lambs and that. So if anyone knows anything about the fox here in Australia, like I used to shoot them 50 years back, and like we're in August now, and now they are in peak pelt-wise, you know, so they've got their best coat on. Now 50 years back, it'd be a very lucky fox to last till August, and August is the mating season for them too, see, so they're not interested in you firing a 40 grain projectile at them at 3,600 feet. They're more interested in seeing if they can round up a female for next year's fun and games. So apart from that, that was the only fox I saw going through, although I did see a few ducks, but that was a sort of an interesting part there. So I suppose if you ever get out along the road in Australia and you're riding around, your best bet is not to sing in the Navy and pick a different tune. Yeah, so as I motored my way along this track, I noticed this whole shed here, what I'm showing you now, and it was fairly close to the road, and I could have went over there any time and had a bit of a look at that one and maybe got away with it. And then as I went further down along the track, there were two deserted houses with naturally no windows or doors in them and stuff like that, and they were very close to the road too, and they would have been interested in getting there and have a look around. But I'd say if I was caught by the people who owned this property snooping around in those houses, the only trip for me would have possibly been with them till a local copper arrived, or either way, you would have been caught on the way out because it was only a one hit in and one hit out. In other words, one road going in, same road going out, so you wouldn't have made it back out because the local blue boy would have grabbed you out the other side. So best idea, don't go snooping around in people's stuff anyway, so it saves you a lot of trouble because you never know when they're going to show up. And more importantly, as we were going along the roadway, I also saw these old telephone or power lines, and these are pretty rare in the area now, and you don't see many of these at all here. And I've only noticed them on really back roads or areas right out of the normal, because I think in the old days what would have happened that, you know, it would have been the only lifeline to get into these places in bad times. So apart from that, what surprises me most is in most cases, the property owners would have cut these down and chopped them up for firewood rather than cut trees down. But not in this case. I would have seen visually, probably about 30 of them going along, and I just took a few shots and a video of one just to give you a bit better look. But in the end, I got past all this crap and I'm further down right near the tail end of the run, and I come up onto the top of this hill and look down into the gully, and what I see below is almost like a small village of houses, sheds and everything else. And I'm thinking, I've never been to this place before. This will be interesting as I ride through. Now that was all right. I get on the bike and it's a pretty steep drop down into this. So I'm going down the hill in, I think it was second gear, holding on to the brake too, because it's a fairly steep old hill to go down. Didn't want it to get away. So I went down to the bottom of the hill, did a couple of S-bends, come out into this clearing, and all of a sudden this huge flock of sheep spun out in front of me. And I thought, oh, geez, I don't want to scare these up because they look pretty good quality sheep. So I turned the bike off and just sat there. And on the right-hand side, there was a really nice rock formation there, which I thought was really interesting. I thought, I wouldn't mind photographing that. Now, all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, right in this picture here, as you see now, I see this bloke waving to me and yelling out something. Well, you know, I suppose from him I would have been 100... yeah, a good 100 metres away. I couldn't hear what was going on. Sheep are making a fair bit of noise. Naturally, you know, they're out there enjoying themselves. I'm not there to pull the wool over their eyes. I'm just there to get through. So as far as that goes, I thought I'd do the right thing, get off the bike, walk over and have a talk to him. So that was all right. By the time I got off the bike and walked through the outskirts of the sheep and to the bloke involved, turned out to be a woman. So by the time I got about 25 metres, I thought, this is his wife. That's what I was thinking, you know, when I went up there. And I was thinking of myself as I got closer, actually face on talk, I was thinking, Jesus, my bloody use by date's gone, but yours has been gone a lot longer than mine. You know, that's what I was thinking as it was going on, because when the first thing was, you know, your relation on private property. So that was the case. I wasn't. I said, no, I thought I was just going straight through. Does this road go over to the Molong Road or the Mitchell Highway? And she said, no, it ends at our property. So I thought to myself, geez, I better handle this carefully, because, you know, I've been in situations like this before and I get a bit excited. So I said to her, so there's no way I can go through. And she said, no, this is private property, and the only way you can go is back out the other way you come and through. So to cut a long story short, not go further into this more than that, I thought the correct idea would be, sorry about that, and I'll head off back the way I come. So I just got back on the bike. Well, I didn't get back on the bike. I turned around the bike and then started it and headed off, so I didn't distract the sheep, because they did look like really good quality sheep in there. And, you know, like big money involved in sheep at the moment. So apart from that, I got on that and mowed it off, and I never got the chance to see what their village looked like. And the only person that would have been in that village, if I would have kept going, would have been me, and I would have been a village idiot, because, you know, I'm pretty sure they would have got really excited if I would have got right into their house down there and started riding around in that part, and there was no way out of it, because I've been in situations like that before and they get a bit excited. So apart from that, that's about the best I can tell you on this one. This was about the best I can put it together, considering I only had my still camera with me, which fired off a couple of videos. And this is more of a salvage clip. I know I'll never get the chance to get back out here and do this trip again, but, you know, to be there once, and that's why on my way out I pulled up at different spots, knocked over some photos, because I wasn't going to get into any drama going out, and it only if I come back. But it's just a pity I never had the drone, because where I would have flew the drone was well away from them, and they wouldn't have been anywhere near me by that time. I was still, I don't know, 3 kilometres from them as I worked my way down. Because I was in this, like driving along, taking photos, getting off, having a look around the bike, all this. I was probably along that road for, I don't know, a good half hour or more, maybe 45 minutes before I bumped into them. So I was down there a fair while, sort of, you know, enjoying life to the fullest, you could say, on a classic bike, on a classic ride. And till the end, it was almost a classic day.